Did you know that the first Women's Baseball World Cup was played in 2004? For men, it was 1938. I know, it's ridiculous. And you wanna know why? Allegedly, Abner Doubleday created baseball rules in Cooperstown, New York in 1839. Although there is no historical evidence for that, this myth can be traced back to the founder of the National League, Albert Spalding, who publicized the story in 1907 to make baseball appeal purely American. That being said, the sport is also very popular in other places like Japan, Taiwan, Korea, and overall Latin America in general. So, the major baseball league in the US and Canada is made out of two leagues, the American League and the National League. Since 1903, the winning teams of each league have played other in a postseason championship called the Major League World Series. But you might ask, these leagues are all male players, so what about women? Well, although women playing baseball exist since the inception of the game, they were definitely largely excluded. Women's teams were created first in elite women college between the 1860s and the 1920s, but most of them disappeared by the 1920s. During World War II, the owner of the Chicago Cubs feared to lose money since all players were sent to Europe as soldiers. So he decided to create the first and only women's professional baseball league. It was called All-American Girl Baseball League and was created in 1943. But unfortunately, it only lasted 11 years because in the 50s, the ideal female role became once again that of a full-time housewife and mother. By the way, if you are interested in this topic, you can watch the movie A League of Their Own. It explains this period very well. And I don't know if you are familiar with the Little League, but basically it's a baseball league for kids aged 8 to 12 years old. So this league was created in 1939, but only for boys. It's only 35 years later that girls began participating in it too. In 2003, women's baseball became an official sport at the AAU, which is the Amateur Athletic Union. And as I said, the first ever Women's Baseball Cup was played in 2004 in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Since then, 8 World Cup tournaments have been held, and the next one is for 2024 in Thunder Bay, Canada. Nowadays, a lot of female baseball players compete internationally and at college level in most countries. And they also play professionally in minor men's leagues. That being said, let's get to know some important athletes. Perhaps the best known woman playing baseball in the early 1920s was Lizzie Murphy, whose career lasted from 1918 to 1935. She was known as the Queen of Baseball, and sports writer at the time said she was as talented as any male player. They also noted that she was paid $300 a week, which was more than many minor league players in the 1920s. In 1953, Toni Stone became the first professional female baseball player when the Indianapolis Clowns hired her to a long-term contract. that was not voided soon after. Although she had to face a lot of obstacles and break barriers as an African American woman, she was still considered one of the best. Often referred to as the woman who replaced Hank Aaron. For those who don't know, Hank Aaron was an African American man considered as one of the greatest players ever. Another important athlete to mention is Julie Croteau. In 1989, she was recognized as the first woman to play with men at the college level. But that didn't come easy. She first sued the high school she attended for not letting her play baseball. And she lost the case. But 1 year later, she found herself playing in another college. I would like to mention also Eri Yoshida, who became in 2008, so at 16 years old only, Japan's first professional female baseball player. She was the first woman drafted by a Japanese men's professional baseball team. In April 2010, she signed a contract with the Chico Outlaws in California, becoming the first woman playing professionally in 2 different countries. Of course, these are only a few examples. There's so many more women who had an impact or are making history right now. And if you're listening on YouTube, drop in the comments below baseball players who inspire you. Now, if you are anything like me, you perhaps don't understand baseball rules. In Europe, the sport is not as popular as here in North America, so I started really understanding better the sport when I moved to Canada. So in short, there's 2 teams of 9 players, and they alternate between playing offense, which is called batting, and defense, which is fielding, for 9 innings. An inning is broken up into 2 halves, in which the away team bats in the first half and the home team bats in the second. 1 inning lasts until each team gets 3 outs. The offense is made out of a batter or hitter who becomes a base runner once she hits the ball. If she reaches the first base on a hit, it's called a single. If she reaches the second base on a hit, it's called a double, and if it's the third, it's a triple. The goal for the base runner is basically to reach the 3 bases and go back to the home plate. It's called a run, and I'm pretty sure you heard of the term home run. This is when every base runner on the field can go back to the home plate because the ball was thrown so far away that of course no one on the field can catch it. The winner is the team with more runs. Now, if both teams have scored the same number of runs at the end of a regular length game, a tie is avoided by the addition of extra innings. The defense, on the other hand, is made out of a pitcher who throws the ball, a catcher who catches the ball when the batter in front misses it, and 7 players on the field. There are several ways for the fielding team to get the hitter out, which ultimately is the point of being the defending team. So there's several ways for the fielding team to get the hitter out. There's the field out, put out, tag out, and strike out. A field out happens when a fielder catches the ball before it bounces off the ground. A put out is when a fielder grabs the ball after bouncing and gets to the base before the base runner does. A tag out is kind of similar to a put out, but instead of the fielder going to the base, the fielder touches the base runner before she gets to the base. And a strikeout happens when the pitcher throws the ball in the strike zone or tricks the hitter into a swing and makes her miss. That being said, if the pitcher throws the ball 4 times outside of that so-called strike zone and the hitter didn't swing her bat, then it's called a ball. And this means that the batter goes to the first base while a new team member takes her place. Players of the offense have to be at all time aware of their surroundings because they have to know what's the best next move. Do they need to move to the next plate, or maybe they should stay in their plate? And I think, in my opinion, it's one of the most interesting parts of baseball, at least for me, to see the player's strategy. That's all for today. If you found this content interesting and you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe to my channel. And if you are on any podcast platform, feel free to share this episode with your friends. Now that you know about baseball, let's keep learning with the Athletes' Voices.